My bad. I was talking. I didn't realize I was on the stage. Anyways, I was like, dang, D hell, you be hating on my whatchamacallits? Oh, I forgot. Mr. Andre. Okay, we good. Um, you. Bro. Huh? Oh, my bad. I just posted it. I got a question for you, Mr. Andre. Mr. Andre,
What's up, man?
I got a question for you.
What's up, buddy?
Do you know the song? You know the name of the song? It's kind of like Stay woke. What's the name of that song? What's the name
I
of
think you probably need to sing it again. I think I need you to sing it again because I didn't really
it?
get it all the way.
I can't do it again.
I think you
Childish
need to
Gambino.
though.
Childish Gambino.
Childish
I can do it
Gambino's
again.
Redbone.
Oh! He got
Real
it.
classy. Real classy.
What?
Real classy.
Why are they not showing their faces?
I don't know.
I got a package. So when you go get my package, you might have to talk
Hi.
about some stuff for a second.
Okay. Are we going now? Are we starting this now?
You know what I mean? I usually talk for a little bit while people are getting in here.
I got you, buddy. Miss Villanueva, how are you?
BRB. Yeah. Introduce everyone. BR to the B.
All right. So everyone, welcome. I know we're a few minutes late, but I think introductions are in order first. The lovely Hemp C, why is your camera not on?
Nope, I didn't do my makeup, so nope.
Okay. Okay. So the lovely Hemp C is my better half. So she's going to be going anonymous for this panel. And Miss
I hurt my
Villanueva,
feelings.
I mean, oh wow, I'm name dropping. My bad, Gabby. That's crazy.
You just called her by her name.
That's not her full name. Anyways, Gab, how are you?
She's not alive.
So someone hacked her. That's cool. That's good. This is good. That Ninja Warlord's been muted. So this is my moment. All right. So I'm gonna tell a story. And it's gonna be a very important story. And I think this is probably the most important story that anyone's ever told. This story was about my first like exposure to the Marine Corps, right? Warlord, are you jumping in, or am I gonna tell everybody how I was inspired to be a Marine?
We'll tell everyone.
All right, it's kind of cliche, but I still think it's true. So you remember that movie Undying Glory with Denzel and Morgan Freeman and all that? You've never seen that movie? All right, it's about the 54th Massachusetts, and it's an all black regiment that participated in the Civil War, right? And I was in, I want to say like 5th grade, and I read this book called Undying Glory. And I remember like it was tough to read because they had really bad pictures and about slavery and all that. But I remember my dad was talking about it, and he would always tell me about that book. And he was proud of me because he was like, I can't, when you're young, they don't really picture you actually reading books that you get from the library. They just think that you like look at the pictures or whatever. But I must have went to the library and took out that same book for like 3-4 months. And when I finally finished it, my dad was like, talk to me about it. And I talked to him about it. And he was like, like we didn't really ever have a chance. Like we weren't allowed to fight. It took us fighting for people to truly, kind of view us as equals. And he's like, we all need to fight. We all need to do our part. And I think for me, that really, really resonated with me. And that's why I joined the military. What made me join the Marine Corps was just because my dad, again, like most sons, I'm assuming, my dad was the one who said, I joined the Army, but deep down, I really wish I would have been a Marine. I think I would have been a good Marine. So I joined the Marine Corps. But yeah, Warlord, you really should watch Undying Glory.
I was lying when
Morgan
I said no.
Freeman, Denzel. It's a really, really good movie.
I was lying when I said no.
What do you mean?
Yes, I've seen it.
Oh, so you're just a mean person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's a really good movie.
Stop being sensitive.
Not as good as obviously the drink that Warlord's just sipping on and not talking.
I was drinking tea. We're doing the introduction. We're only 8 minutes into it. We ain't even hit 10 yet.
Okay, so Miss T, are you gonna talk? You gonna turn on the camera? What's up?
I think Larry has her on mute.
Did you mute her?
I didn't mute her. No. She muted herself.
No, I don't know what you're calling me. You keep calling me Villanueva and then you call me T, like, it's fine. But I'm just listening to your story. That's all. I'm just listening.
So, Miss T, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I was a Marine Corps spouse for 13 years. Have been out of that military lifestyle for about 2 years now. I work for a military nonprofit, so still finding a way to try and help serve the military community. And I've got 2 kiddos.
Oh, awesome. And Hempsy, awesome pick. What about you? What's your connection to the military?
Well, I've been incarcerated for 15 years with the jailman who is Andre Hamilton.
That's crazy.
But I'd say the incarceration has been pretty well so far.
Has nothing to do with the military. Absolutely nothing.
Hey, I have
no
to go
time
where you
off
tell me
for
to
good
go.
behavior.
I have to go where you need me to go, so I've been going where you go. No, we've been together for we've been married for 15 years this year, and military life has been really, really good to us and our family. So what age were you? You were 17 when you joined Andre?
Yep.
And so
Little baby.
yeah, I married him as soon as I left my house, which was right after high school, and didn't know the world of the military life. Nobody was serving in my family, so he was the first one that I've ever known that was a military life and military brat. So I was 18, obviously at that age. We don't know ourselves yet, but with by the grace of God and Alex and I getting along really, that's what helped make military life a lot easier than it could have been. I mean, like.
So Hempsey and Miss T, I got a question.
Mhm.
As military spouses, what is your perspective of how like the general public views military and like our families and stuff? How do you guys view it?
So, are you saying like how the public views military service members?
Well, I guess, yeah, let me rephrase the question. When it comes to our portrayal or the portrayal of military service members, their family, how do you two see it? Or how, as military wives, do you observe it? Is it like a love-hate relationship? Is it more just honor, admire? Is it, oh, we're just, the stereotypical, names for military members? What is your guys' perspective when it comes to the relationship between military and the regular citizen?
I mean, I think it's a 50-50, where there's some that admire it and see it, and they kind of see this very like Nicholas Sparks type of love story where they think that, that like reuniting after deployments or long periods of training, and, like the spouse kind of holding it down, the yellow ribbon around a tree type of, um, patriotism. And then you have the other 50% that are like, they're very cynical and they see it as like, oh, you just married him for benefits. He married you to get out of the barracks room. And, the infidelity and the dependent status that they give a lot of military spouses. And honestly, I do feel like sometimes there's a 50-50 there. There are some spouses that, really embrace that military culture and their military community. And then you have other spouses that really are in it to be, um, in a sense, they see it as a way out or benefits.
What about you, Hempsey? What are your thoughts? Do you feel the same way about it as Miss T, or
I'm sorry, I was cleaning up your daughter's face. What was the question in the beginning?
the question was the image or portrayal of the military service member and their family is one that the general populace has. Ms. T said that sometimes it is honored and glorified, and at the same time it's viewed as this, oh, you guys are just, terrible people. You guys do X, Y, and Z. And I wanted to ask you, as being someone who was a part of it for a long period of time, what is your perspective when it comes to how we're perceived by the average American?
Well, by
I'm
the
sorry, your
average
voice.
American. What was that?
I saw Andre when he raises his
Yes.
voice, he echoes a little.
Oh,
Yeah, Hempsey, can you go to a little further away?
yeah. One second. But okay, you're welcome. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I've been stuck in my own bubble. That's just how I am. So, but like being outside of the base and outside, like in a general public area, not around the military bases, if I'm a military spouse, like I've been given appreciation. I've never heard really negative comments towards me or like heard negative things about military spouses, they're always like, you did it too. You're in it for the ride. You might not wear the uniform and you might not be, serving overseas, but when someone else is overseas, you're still serving. Like, so for me, I never got that vibe from anybody. Now, if I was around the military bases, yes, we, our own selves, the own wives, the own military population, quote unquote, we have that put down and negative perspective on ourselves. Like, yeah, oh, we know a new military wife. Oh, yeah, she probably only married him for the benefits. Like, we do that to ourselves, I think. But outside of it, again, it's like we're appreciated almost just as much as the active duty service member himself.
This, and I don't know how Warlord views, but for me, this also kind of goes into a little aspect that Miss T mentioned when it comes to our portrayal in media. So for me, I mean, we know of Army wives, we know of all the movies, we know of all that stuff. And for me, to a certain degree, I think it's damaging and almost detrimental to the perspective of military service members and their family. And I guess I want to ask either of you and Warlord too, how much should that be to a certain degree mitigated or controlled? Because in my mind, I don't necessarily think it's in the best interest of America to have their, service members portrayed as promiscuous or as lackadaisical or as irresponsible. I think personally, if you're going to have your service members, those individuals who have been, destined or who are chosen to defend their country, I don't want them portrayed as just frat boys. I don't want that, or sorority girls. I don't mean to make it a sexist thing, but I guess that's my question. And it's the same with military spouses. How are your guys' views when it comes to our portrayal and media?
So it's a part of the selling point. Outside of movies, the news really doesn't talk about that. The news might talk about somebody dumb once or twice, like homeboy that burned himself. I should grab my arm. But outside of that, movies kind of glorify the frat life part of the military. And to be honest with you, half the time it's not even like that when you talk to people in other branches. It's kind of sometimes infantry thing, sometimes it's a Marine Corps thing. I guess it just depends on your command too, because I talked to a lot of other guys. They're not close to their commands and all their platoon mates and stuff like that. But again, I think it's part of the selling point of it. So don't be weak.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was done.
I was going to say, I think that whenever we do see anything like that in the media, it's definitely pushing an agenda, and unfortunately, a big push right now is the mental illness that's within the military and, PTSD. And unfortunately, a lot of people that have not experienced that firsthand have this perception of it that is entirely based on what they have seen in the media and not based on actual research or experience. So I do think, was it Netflix that had that TV show about like a weird love story of a military couple that like they get married for benefits, but they end up like falling in love or something like that?
That's a new show on Netflix. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. But then,
Seriously.
No, I'd say the show is pretty good.
That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help.
It's a good show. It's a good show. Hey, if it's a good show, it's a good show.
The actors made it seem like they were really in the military. That's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, I think it's kind of like a culture thing too. I think once you're in it, it's different, but it's so diverse. You don't really know what kind of community you're gonna get, and it's also changed so much during a wartime Marine Corps to a peacetime Marine Corps, and I don't think a lot of people talk about that.
Yep.
I don't know how Warlord feels about segueing into this. So if he doesn't really want to, I'm inclined to ask though.
Well, hold up.
Again, I don't.
To what Gabby was going to say. High five me real quick. Come on. Touch hands.
I just did.
That, oh, I must be delayed on your end. So like one of the things that always stuck to me is something that my mom said because she was the civilian nurse in charge of the clinic where all the Navy recruits will go through and get like the shots and stuff like day 1 or 2. I think day 2 of boot camp. She said that they noticed a change in like what's the right word? I'll say readiness and personality and attitude for the recruits that was coming in during wartime versus the recruits that was coming in kind of after all that started slowing down. And that's the Navy. A majority of them going in probably aren't going to see combat. But the point is that she still noticed that difference.
Speaking of noticing differences, Warlord, you've been around a lot of people who've been deployed. Gabby, I know you also have seen a lot of service members who've been deployed, and I know, correct me if I'm wrong, your significant other was also deployed and has been on multiple deployments. Hempsey, yours hasn't. Ex-significant other, I apologize. I guess my question for both of you
should
is,
apologize.
see, my question for both of you is, as the person who's been observing the slow change, I'm gonna safely say, of a person who's been to combat and been exposed to it, when they come back, how do they get the needed services, whether it be therapy, whether it be counseling, whether it be whatever? And if they don't, what do you think would be a good remedy for that? And I know maybe there's a stigma as it pertains to service members getting that help, but I mean, what could we do in order to minimize or at least drastically reduce the mental toll that combat takes on you?
I mean, I don't think that stigma is going to go away. We've had it since, World War I, shell shock. And I do think that now we understand it a little bit better, but I don't think that it necessarily works for the military, if that makes any sense. So it might work from a civilian perspective and a rehabilitation to get them into a civilian workforce. But when it comes to the military, I don't really think that that's something that they push because it doesn't necessarily fit the type of warrior and the type of personality that they need. And I don't think that many of them were able to speak up because there's not a lot of support and empathy between service members to be able to have a safe space to share that, even if it's between them.
Hempsey, you were saying something?
Nope, sorry.
All right. If I can add
Warlord,
to that,
what about you? Yeah, I'm really interested, honestly, in here. Like, I really want to know your thoughts when it comes to something like this.
I was gonna say, if I can add to that, to me, honestly, my opinion for a long time has been, I think it depends on the individual and also who's around them when they get back. Because, like, I can, my main example I can use is just my time at Walter Reed. I noticed a lot of people that had family around them with them, they were pretty all right. A lot of people maybe didn't have the best relationship with the family, things like that. A lot of them had a lot harder time. A lot of them, we would have to go visit them in their basement and something like that. They would only leave their basement to go get liquor and food. But not all of them, and not everybody that had family around them neither had those issues. But I would say it was a good number of folks.
So I wanted to maybe ask a follow-up question. I understand that obviously it isn't in the best interest of the military to promote these remedies because they could. Some people say it could exacerbate the problem. It could result in more combat ineffective service members. But I guess my next question is, how can preemptively the higher ups, in your opinion, Warlord, how could the higher ups preemptively kind of counter that? I mean, I know Gabby said to the effect of ultimately, well, it's against the culture essentially. Like it is viewed negatively or as a sign of weakness to admit certain struggles. And I guess how would you, Warlord, as someone who served and who has went overseas and has done it, how would you recommend higher ups if you do think it's appropriate to kind of sort of try to prevent this from turning into a more epidemic like or problematic concern?
Honestly, I don't know. Mm, I don't know, man. There, there's some things I want to talk about. Shit, there was even things I want to accept for the longest time. Mm, for the longest time, I want to accept no free meals. I want to accept no one's thank you, stuff like that. I honestly, I can only speak for myself. I got over that on my own. And at the same time, I would always preach to everybody else, use all the tools at your disposal. So I'd be like, well, how can I be a hypocrite out here? Somebody wants to offer me a free meal. Somebody wants to offer me some money or give me a jump up, a advantage over other people in a job just because I'm a veteran and they're a veteran as well. Then I need to stop being ignorant, get over myself, and take it.
Mm.
Mm, some things I might not have wanted to talk about. I've had my dad. I've always been able to talk to my dad about anything. So again, I don't think for me in that case is exactly the same for everybody.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your community around you and how much you are close
Uh,
to.
oh, that's what I do. Duh.
Char, I think that's a great comment. What she wrote, what helped my husband coming back from deployment was having strong faith in God, a great support and system from family. That's awesome, and I think that is becoming, yeah, that appears to be the common approach. And again, I think we can address the other side, right? As a military brat, I observed my dad. Um, he had many deployments, and there were times when, as a child, I didn't see the other side as it pertains to the struggle that it impacted or the struggle that it had on my dad's marriage or on himself. All I saw was how he interacted with us, and he always came home happy and loving and hugging. And what's up, brother?
And yeah, you sorry.
Nope. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, and Andre, you actually just asked your dad about 2 3 weeks ago, like how was he able to even navigate that so it wouldn't affect you and
Mm-hmm.
your siblings?
Yep.
Oh, you were there,
You
right?
might
I
you might have,
was.
you might
Yeah.
have to get Neil on the phone too.
Like,
I would, yeah. Papa Hemp should be on one of these, but yeah, no, I forgot about that.
Come on
Hempsy and
speakerphone.
Gabby, you are right. I, I, you want to try to bring him in now?
No, not now. For the second half, I was gonna even see if I can bother my parent. But
I mean, we'll
I
have to
was gonna
definitely
add
bother
to
him. But
what
what
you
were you saying,
said.
think
Warlord?
I think humility and empathy are two big things that are not promoted within the military, and I can understand why. But I do think that those two would make a very big difference, and maybe not so much empathy and humility in a way that would change that war mindset, that warrior mindset, but that would help each other at least share with one another, even if it's not a licensed therapist, even if it's not a chaplain, a friend that's actually been through something that's going to listen in a non-judgmental manner.
And I'm almost certain Hempstead can probably attest to this, because she's seen it and she's experienced it as someone who I've tried to talk to. Um, People are going to be incapable of truly believing that you're not judging. I mean, I've told, and again, it's I think this is an issue that really troubles service members in general, whether it be in combat or on CONUS, right? It's just that ability to trust, whether it is your significant other or your family or whoever you determine to be the person that you can rely on. The issue is we must open ourselves to others because it's so easy. I'm inclined to say that it's so easy for you to slip down that dark path and that lonely wayward road and end up as Warlord said, by yourself, trying to find other ways to self-medicate, trying to find ways for yourself to cope, which are more likely than not detrimental to your well-being. So I think these are great points, and I think this is a good segue because it talks more about both of you, um, Gabby and Hempsey, our parents. Hempsey, I can say this: we obviously didn't have children when we were in, but we were the pseudo auntie and uncle for a lot of family members or a lot of children who were who were children of the people that we served with. And Gabby, you yourself, you were a mother um, while you were a military wife, and I want to know as parents how did you minimize the impact of an absent parent as a result of their obligation to their country?
See, you want to go? I feel like I'm doing all the talking.
I think you got to talk on this one again. Hempsey and I, we didn't have children until I was a reservist going to college. So I don't think the impact was substantial, if any, as it concerns my two older children. But I think for you, this is one that's right up your alley, Gabby.
Okay. Well, I think as a military spouse and having a child like right in going into the Marine Corps and then adding another one years after, um, there's great resources for sure that help you cope as your child is growing. I think that there's not a lot of awareness of said resources, and I think the military could do a better job of promoting said resources. I go back into the wartime and peacetime Marine Corps, and in the wartime Marine Corps there was an abundance of resources, and in the peacetime I could definitely see those dwindling. um, I think building a strong community with other spouses who had children, um, that is something that helps because you have that empathy. You have people that understand what you're going through. Um, I think the toughest part was definitely um, what a lot of people don't talk about is when you learn to deal with everything on your own and the service member returns home and trying to reintegrate them into your life now, that becomes very difficult. And I think that's something that, Mimi could attest to, where you kind of have this schedule, you kind of have this thing going, and there's that lack of communication in between spouses where it's like, okay, well, when you come home I need you to do XYZ. They kind of have this idea as to what they want to do, and unfortunately not all service members that are the active duty parent act like your dad, where they were kind of just happy to be home and they were willing to just jump in and make breakfast for everybody and be dad and be mom and be present. A lot of them are dealing with PTSD, and a lot of different issues. So I think that the military has done a great job with some of the resources that they provide. Unfortunately, they don't uh, market them correctly, so people are unaware of these resources, and they're the first to go when there's budget cuts. So I think that makes it difficult. And being away from family, not everybody's duty station is near where family, especially those that are Oconas. And so but it definitely builds a stronger community amongst military spouses.
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
everyone by Mimi, she's referring to my stepmom. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that that I can't imagine what that's like. I've known many couples who the running joke would be because of his military service, him being deployed, they spent more time once they were married. They spent more time apart than they spent together. And as much of a joke and as a lighthearted comment that was, it carried a lot of substantial and really, really real implications. And I think Gabby hit it on the head. The concern is when when the boots are put away and when the uniform's folded and placed in the closet and you have to be home, what is the dynamic? What is the status of the relationship at that point? Is it something that can be salvaged? Is there something to salvage? And I mean, I don't want to, I'm probably being a little hyperbolic,
That's
but I think
assuming
that's
you
a
got
great
broke or
worry.
messed up
But
during deployment.
and some people, that's their identity. That's all they know. That is their core identity. They don't know who they are without the military, and they don't know how to be a parent. They don't know how to be a spouse. They don't know how to be a sibling, a son anymore. All they know is those boots. And that's their sole identity. And if they don't take that time to step away from it and, find themselves again, I think that's when a lot of issues happen.
Warlord, what were you saying?
I was just saying, as far as the relationship, saying can it be salvaged and things like that. I would say that you know, let me add that's if the relationship got damaged or messed up.
True. That is an assumption. I did make, I didn't mean to, but yeah, you're right. My statement did carry with it a certain assumption that service or distance in and of itself is inherently damaging to a relationship. And that is not true. Yeah, I apologize.
But at the same time, I've also seen cases where the kids, it can also depend on the time period where the kids are born or maturing, as far as maturing is from like a toddler to a little kid, or even from a little kid to a teen. They have to adjust to dad or mom being home more often too. And I've seen it to where dad's like, okay, I'm home. This is how things are going to be, and the kid is
Yep.
like, you might be dad, but you ain't in charge.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Oh my
saying?
gosh. That if Papa Hemp or Papa Hemp was here, he would definitely be looking at me and pointing. That I can definitely attest to this, and it's sad because again, I think that goes to the other issue. It's people become acclimated or accustomed to a particular, way of life, and it's detriment. It's sad. It's sad that
Well,
that
and
children grow to learn. I'm sorry. Yes, yes, Gabby.
no, no. Just to on Larry's point too. Not only is it that the child is growing and now they're trying to get used to this other person, telling them what to do in the home, but now the parent that's been away also needs to realize that the child is growing. They might have left a
Yeah.
toddler, and they come back,
Hmm.
to somebody that's older, somebody that's participated in sports, has grown in social development, has different friends, and so I think that that's also very shocking to see, your children kind of just, you see them in pictures, but you're not really interacting with them. So, as a parent, I'm sure that that's very difficult to accept that you've missed out on a year of your child's growth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is, and I think this was the episode we needed, right? We talked about this because as a military brat, I feel again, I did a little bit of time, nothing compared to Warlord or others, I can assure you. But as a military brat, I remember this. I remember times where it's like, man, my dad missed this, my dad missed that. I remember the moments that I clung to very closely when it's like, winning a wrestling match in front of my dad, or dad being home and us going to get like Sonic and having father son moments, and it's sad because you, as a child, you understand to a certain degree. Dad's not here because he's a war hero and he's fighting for this country. But in the moment, you don't care about the country. I hate to say it that way because it's very that's probably being a little
Well,
hyperbolic, but it's true. Is as a child, you don't care. You don't care that he
I mean,
he
you're not
promised
really
and
thinking on that
swore
show
oath to
neither.
defend. You're not. All you're thinking is my dad's not here, and it sucks because as a father now and as a man, I look at my dad, and there's times where I tell him I'm grateful that he did that and he set that example and that standard for me for me to emulate and strive to be like. But at the time when I was a kid, I gave him a hard time. I was like, man, I wish you were here more. I wish. And looking back, I'm embarrassed that, like, man, why couldn't you just take a moment to appreciate that that man was he kept his word. He made an oath, and he did his part to provide, and that's how he provided. He put on a uniform and did what many don't. It's just when you're a kid, you, you, you can't. I mean, the everything revolves around you, and now as a dad, I see it, and I laugh at myself because I'm like, oh my god, this kid keeps demanding freaking Play-Doh at the dinner table, like, you know what I mean? And again, I just it sucks because only as adult do you see the error of your childish ways. I don't think we have the ability to understand it when we're in the moment. But what about you, Warlord? You're a military brat. What about you?
Oh, am I?
I thought you were.
I am.
Why are you doing me like that? Come on now.
What you mean, bro?
Talk about some of your experiences there, Warlord McNasty.
Well,
What are some? What is it growing up as Warlord Junior when you were just still wearing the Nike tennis shoes and
most of
well,
my
tell me about
dad's
it. What was it?
most of my dad's deployments is when I was younger. I'm the youngest, so he was a higher up most of my life. You know what I'm saying? So he was where I was, or my older life. You know what I'm saying? When I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I just knew whenever dad was gonna come home from being overseas, I just knew that meant I was gonna get a new toy.
I get that. I
But
remember,
yeah,
and again, Hempsey. I don't know if Gabby heard this, but Hempsey knows this. When my dad would get deployed, I would tear up every time he'd leave because he was the disciplinarian, right? He was the one who was like, "Oh, dang, Dad's here. Like, I can't be." But when he was gone, it was just Mimi. This little French lady. She ain't about nothing. You're not afraid of Mimi, So I'd act up, and he had to find ways to get me to like listen, right? So she would have what's called the docket, which is just like a legal notepad. But every time I did something bad, she would write it down. And legit, the next time that he would talk to me on the phone, before we talk, hey, Pops, how are you? I would have to like talk to him about the docket and everything on the docket, right? And it sucked. And obviously, I did change my ways. But man,
But there was like a way
I
that he
don't,
found that connection though overseas.
yeah.
He found a
And
way
I
to
think that's the
still,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. So it
And
was like he
there
wasn't
was,
really gone.
or sorry, Warlord was saying how he had something to look forward to in a sense, right? Like we're looking at this through a child's
mm-hmm.
perspective. And as like you said, as you grow older, you're
Hanging
like,
out with
oh,
my dad, getting a new toy. Yep.
mm-hmm. And you kind of have that. But I think as a parent too, you're really not gonna, or sorry, as a child of a military service member, you're not going to understand what they did and what they went through until you're a parent yourself. It's
Yep.
just, yeah,
That's so
not gonna
true.
happen.
That is so true.
But and like I said, I do think that a lot of the resources do help even children try and understand what their parents just went through, what they might have experienced, and they're professionals that can help them have that empathy for their parent. And I do think that makes such a big difference. Like Warlord was saying, when he was in Bethesda, how you see people surround you and how they treat you. I think in those initial stages makes such a big difference in your recovery.
So I'm not going to name anybody, but I remember a few of my friends who, after their first deployment, when they got back, we hung out together. And I remember, you get a couple beers and then people start talking. And I remember one of them talked about something that happened and it messed him up so much. And I remember seeing him kind of break. And I looked at the other guy, the other guy who I was with who didn't go. And we were looking, we were hurt. But I remembered from that point on, it changed. And I guess I bring that all up to say, Warlord, you have been so intimately connected to the military. You've seen countless people who've been deployed multiple times. And Gabby, I'm also sure you can attest to, you've been around the military for over a decade, almost 15 years. So I guess my question is to both of you: what, or is it after that first deployment when people usually see the change? I don't know what you want to characterize it as, or when they become normalized to the chaos that is war. But what do you think really occurs when that happens? Because in my mind, when I'm thinking about what happened, I think just my friend, yeah, he just became acclimated to the madness, and it just worried us because he was different after that. Conversations were different. You couldn't relate to him on much. He was about one thing and one thing only, and it was cool in the beginning. We didn't really care, but after a while, when we started growing into our current lives, one went to college, the other started businesses or whatever. He was just the same. He didn't change. He was focused on that. So I know I'm a little long-winded, but I guess my question is, after one deployment, after two deployments, Warlord, what do you describe as the change being? And Gabby, for you, what did you observe that change being from the people that you may or may not have observed go through that?
Um, you know, at the beginning, I guess I would say I didn't like most civilians about it. I'd be like, I'll think about, y'all over here complaining about stupid stuff when in other places of the world is, to me, because that was my life, that was really my own life for a good minute. To me, when in other parts of the world, there's a lot of craziness going on, a lot of violence going on, and more so your friends that got injured or passed away. So I didn't like a lot of people that either wasn't in the military or wasn't around like understood the military life. Then I realized, like, you got to get over that. You can't be going through life like that. That's crazy.
Gabby? Oh, did we lose her?
Oh, you're muted.
I'm muted?
No, Gabby's muted. I don't.
Okay.
I didn't mute herself. I don't know if she realizes or
All
not.
right.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it was lagging. Sorry. I can definitely tell you that the person that I said goodbye to did not come back. That person never came back after that first appointment. And I think when I realized that was truly heartbreaking, because technically they're still that person that you made that commitment to. And it's difficult because you have to relearn how to continue to love that person. You have to continue to have that empathy and support them. And it's difficult because when it's somebody that you love, how do you support them when you don't understand what they've been through? Not only that, you watch the family fall apart too. You watch how their family treats them differently. Um, you, to me, I would say the most shocking part was the lack of empathy that was shown in family gatherings. And I think that was very detrimental, excuse me, in a sense of healing after the first deployment. And it kind of seemed like it was emptier and emptier after each deployment. Like it just kind of was easier in a sense, but not in a good way. It was just kind of so numb. Um, so it's like Warlord said, you have to stop and think, I can't be living my life like this.
All right. I want to talk about some uncomfortable topics. So I'm going to say now, if you don't feel comfortable talking about this, by all means, you do not have to. First one I want to talk about is the normalization of alcohol abuse, alcoholism. And I guess for me, I don't know how Warlord feels about it, but for me, it's like,
Hold
again,
on. Wait for, like, before we go off of the military perspective or our own perspective, more so, wait for about 10 more minutes.
no, I was just going to talk about other
If
issues
that's
in the
where you're going.
military. Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not leaving the military. We're not talking about like, hey,
No. It's on the military.
alcohol and should
I'll
it be
saving
banned?
more so our personal perspective for the second half.
Okay, so then you don't want me to ask about like military's, acceptance or at least perceived acceptance of like alcohol abuse or
No,
substance
okay,
use.
that's cool. I just thought I thought
Okay.
you were gonna talk about yourself and ask me more directly. Okay,
No, 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 no,
no, that's
no.
cool.
We
Do
were
your
both
thing.
service
Excuse
members,
me.
and yeah, we were both service members. Hempsey and Gabby also were, they were military wives, so they've seen it. Lord knows how many weekends. And I guess my question is for both of you, Hempsey or Gabby. Um, the almost perceived acceptance of underage drinking, alcohol abuse, like how does the is it a problem? I'm inclined to say it is. One, is it a problem? And two, how do you address this? Because it's almost, yes, it's an issue, and they have their livo briefs and they have their weekend talks before people go out, but they all do their own thing. They always do it every single time. And I just don't know how, because again, for every young buck who's 18, 19, who's drinking every Friday because they want to party, it turns into a staff NCO or someone higher ranking drinking because they had a really tough week. And does it, I mean, I guess that's my question, my worry. And Warlord, by all means, you can tell me if I could be exaggerating. I definitely am going to be the first one to acknowledge that. But I do know also that it seems to be like it was always accepted and deemed, not as important or not that big of a deal when it comes to people drinking day in, day out, every night, especially on the weekends. So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, for me, I feel like that's another one that goes back to your command,
Okay.
and to the people and to the service members in that command. You know, if there wasn't a whole lot of issues with it, there was a whole lot of trouble. Your command was pretty cool with it. Like my command at 2-9, like we weren't supposed to have liquor in the room. I would have like hard liquor. You got beer, but I would forget a few times that from the weekend I'd have like liquor in my backpack, and they're doing a random inspection or whatever. I'll take them to the side, like, yo, I forgot I wasn't thinking about this. I have this in my bag, and they're like, all right, well, you told me so. But of course, they would hit me harder on something else, or something was jacked up in my room. But they would kind of go past that, because in my
You
command
were
in two
honest.
nine nine palms, at least when I was there wasn't too many incidents, as far as people being drunk and acting crazy. At least at the barracks. You always hear about someone getting in trouble on the weekend sometimes, but at the barracks
Very
most of the time,
true.
no. And yeah, because I was honest
So,
about it, probably.
Gabby, I mean, I'm inclined to say that was it. They
Um,
respected the integrity.
I mean, I think it changes, right? I think when you're first in as a young kid, it's like college. It's kind of like that frat. It's fun, it's adventurous. You have to talk about the diversity of where everybody's coming from in the military and what you see in the barracks, right? Like you have different socioeconomics, different cultures, and you're kind of finally bringing those in together. And people are going to introduce you to different things. You're going to have like the Southern Baptist person who was raised to like never drink a drop of alcohol, who's now probably going to get alcohol poisoning this weekend. And then you also, a lot of
Like,
people don't think about how many spouses also suffer from substance abuse, because that's their way of coping with it. And it's very unfortunate that, um, a lot of the resources are geared. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunate. I'm sorry. It's unfortunate that the spouses don't really have the same resources when it comes to substance abuse treatments, and they're very, very quiet about it. But it is something that I have seen, especially as a caseworker. And most of them, when they're dealing with substance abuse, it's not just alcohol, because they are not drug tested or because they're not working. They will usually rely on, um, marijuana or hallucinogenics. And I think hallucinogenics was like the strongest thing that somebody ever told me. And I was like, oh, okay. But it was their way of coping and dealing with things. And so you try to keep that reserved and in a space that's not very judgmental. And then I think when you're younger, you kind of have that frat boy mentality. Um, but as you're older, when you're in charge, you
chilling
start
with the
seeing all these
bros.
things. Sorry?
I said chilling with the bros.
You
Just
have the
nothing, young
different.
kid.
Yeah, you're just a young kid, but as you're growing, now you have the responsibility of a family. You're possibly
True,
dealing with
true.
PTSD. And now you have the responsibility of junior Marines that are doing all the dumb things that you're telling them not to do. So it's like a triple stress. You're working all these crazy hours. You're dealing with chain of command. Like, it's very susceptible to be to fall into substance abuse. And so I think it kind of changes because it goes from really fun to now this is how I cope.
I'm going to talk about a few more. I know there's obviously the elephant in the room is coming. I don't really want to talk about it, but I feel like when it comes to military, you have to. So let's baby step our way to the big one. Also, and I want to preface this by saying I'm not in any way trying to say that the order that I'm addressing these is the order of importance. They're all very, very important. These are all very concerning issues that the military does need to address, and they're very touchy topics. So I don't in any way try to make light of them, uh, make a joke or a mockery of anyone who struggled or been through these. I just, as a service member who's either struggled with them or observed them myself, I know these are real issues. So I think, and again, Warlord, please tell me if you, I know that there was a lot of struggle with domestic abuse. I know that it was a problem. And I mean, MPs were called, or, PMO. Is it PMO, Warlord? How, it's been so long. I
Yeah,
forgot
I
the
think so.
acronym for
I
PMO,
think
right?
I think yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's people.
I think it's called PMO. And yeah, I mean
It
they were
is.
called. I mean, I don't, yeah, it is called, right? So yeah, I know, and again, Gabby could be the first one to tell me. I haven't seen the stats, but I'm inclined to say usually if it's not like an alcohol related incident, it's usually a domestic dispute. That is why they're called out. It's often, it happens all the time.
Correct. And most
And
of the
again,
time,
I don't.
TV, there's essays or substance abuse. Yeah.
Thank you, Mimi. I appreciate that. Thank you for yeah. Again, I do, and I don't mean to interrupt, Gabby. I am sorry, but Mimi
No,
posted something I do want to just say. If anyone, if you know anyone that's struggling with mental health, please, there are hotlines. I know Mimi posted one. Mimi, you are awesome. I appreciate it. I wish I had the hotlines for domestic violence or substance use or abuse or anything like those. But yeah, um, I know Josie's posting. Josie, we miss you. Um, yeah, I'll go through those comments. But again, Gabby, can you continue on? I do not. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt. She put the hotline. I really wanted, due to the seriousness of this, I did want to plug it.
absolutely. Um, I think it's beneficial to promote it and let people know they're not alone and that there are resources.
I So Josie posted something that I really do think is super important. Well, all these topics are, but I think she talked about something that I think echoes back to an issue that we addressed earlier, and I think it's this comfort level. It seems like service members are just not comfortable talking about vulnerabilities, and a warlord. I know, and again, I don't. I hope everyone knows I seriously mean what I'm about to say. But Warlord was someone who I looked up to. I still look up to him. This guy's pretty much my big brother, and I always looked up to him. And I do think, to a certain degree, yeah, you don't want to go to people that are like your friends or your role models or whoever, and tell them that you're struggling with things. But Warlord, I'm confident in saying that I'm sure people have approached you, said, "Hey, man, I'm struggling with this, or I'm struggling with that," and how did you help them? If it hasn't happened again, I'm assuming, but I'm confident in saying that people have approached you with this.
Honestly, man, it's never been the same answer. It depends on who the person is, how well I know them, and what the issue is. It's kind of how I
Have
respond
you
to
ever
them.
have you ever had a service member come up to you talking about stuff like that?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay. Without giving
Usually
too much
things.
information that could potentially divulge who they are, what was the nature of the conversation?
Well, one guy's like we're like, oh, don't we suggest you don't get married right now? And like a lot of the younger people do, he was real fast to get married, and she was running them. She was in the Navy at that time, Like she even tried to come up in our office one time and tell us, he needs to leave to go see my family and do this and that. And it started out from little silly stuff like that. I mean, of course we corrected her, but it started off with little silly stuff like that. It just blew up to it to where he wanted to spend the night in people's barracks room. He'd be sitting there crying and stuff. And honestly, I didn't even know I was his team leader. They're like, well, you're his team leader. You need to go talk to him. I was like, oh, straight up. So I talked to him. We sat there. We talked for a good minute. He definitely kept on bringing up. Can we go get a drink while we talk about it? I was like, maybe we can get a drink when we're done talking about it, but not while we're talking about it, because I want you to hear everything that I have to say. And he's like, you're here, so you're already married. That's past. It's like, depending on how bad you think it is, there's always a annulment. You haven't been married that long, but it's like it depends on you. Do you want to stay married and do you want things to change? If so, this is stuff you two are going to have to for real work on together, possibly seek counseling, or you just want to be as far away from her as possible. Because granted, for the next for him at that time, the next 2 years, you're gonna see her every day because y'all got here at the same time. But there's still kind of a way out of the marriage, and if you get out of the marriage, whatever sway you have over her, you need to let that go. Whatever sway she has over you, whatever dark secrets that you're scared she might tell, you have to prepare yourself for that and move on, or else you're gonna have a hard time here. And I had issues with him for a little bit after that because, like I said, I didn't even know I was his team leader. They never told me. But after that, every time he was having issues, and most of the time it stemmed from things with her. But, of course, it came down on me. But he got over it. It was dealt with. When I left Banger, they were still married, but it seemed like he either he got better with it, and bringing it to work, or they got better together. Because I would ask them every now and it seemed like things were still the same.
Hmm. So what about for you guys? Like you're explaining your friend's perspective, well, not perspective, but or whoever this person was, what they've been through. But for men married in the military, like, how is it for y'all? Because I mean, although you guys are married, like, everything is strong out there. You guys have like a bazillion things going through your minds, whether you're in combat, whether you're in training, being away. Like Gabs and I, you know, our military spouses. She was the military spouse that, her husband was deployed all the time. And whenever she does feel comfortable talking about, her perspective or her, what is it? Her history and what she's been through versus me, like, you know, Andre was not deployed, but even if you're not deployed, like the stresses of work, like being a minute late, like it affects your whole family because they'll make you stay back. Like, how does that, like, are you guys really afraid of coming home late? Like, because they made you stay at work a little extra? Like, I mean, what goes through your guys' mind? Do you guys just want to go home, or do you actually really want to be at work and away from your family? I mean, I know you're not going to say the truth online because I'm here, but
I mean,
I'll jump
I
in
was
there,
married
Nate.
until I was younger, so it was kind of different for me, in my opinion.
hmm.
Well, I'm going to try to address both because Josie made a few comments, and I think that both her comments as well as an answer to your question can be addressed. You're worried about everything. So you're worried about who's happy with you, who's not happy with you. Are you going to get the promotion? Did you do everything you need to be eligible for the promotion? You're worried about if you said the right thing to make anyone angry. You're worried about, again, Josie said it. Did something that you talk about in counseling get you, potentially labeled as like weak or someone who they shouldn't promote? You know, some people, and again, I think that's another issue that I would love to dig deeper into, the fact that if individuals seek out help, that could be detrimental to future job opportunities. I think that's another thing that, I
Yeah.
mean, but I to answer your question explicitly, I'm going to say, like the lawyer in me, it depends, right? Like there's times where, man, I'm so stressed out because the missus is giving me a hard time because I'm coming home and I don't want to do anything. You know, I don't mind going to work and going to the gym and hanging with the boys. And then I'm pretty sure there's days where it's like, God, I hate all these guys. I just want to be home with the missus and just watch Everybody Loves Raymond and drink Arizona sweet tea and eat Pringles all day and not be around any of them. And I know, Warlord, you never heard of any of that. But I guess the point is, it's situational. But I think what is ever present is this constant worry of making sure that you've done everything right. um, you're worried that you just don't want to be the one that gets singled out and gets a tough, a hard time because you botched something. And for me, I mean, I'm pretty sure even to this, I mean, there was days where I thought I lost my night vision goggles, my NVGs, and they had to wake up the entire platoon to search for them. And it turns out they were in my day pack the entire time, but I didn't have a flashlight, so I couldn't search. So I pissed off everyone. Everyone woke up. I got chewed out, all for something that
Yep.
didn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? But then what happens? Everyone hates me. I hate myself, and then I come home and my wife is smiling,
And you
big
make
old smile. Hey, babe, how are
everybody else
you?
late. Yeah.
And then I
Yeah,
hate
and
him. That's a cycle because
exactly.
he's
She's
hating
like,
everyone
"What's
around.
wrong with you, babe?" Exactly. What's wrong, babe? What's going on? I don't want to talk about it. Why don't you want to talk about it? Because I don't want to talk about it. Well, and then you get angry, and then all of a sudden she's like, does he hate me? Did I do something wrong? Did I not put on the right whatever?" And when in actuality, this problem could have easily been resolved by me being open with her and me taking the time to do my job correctly. And it's something, I mean, to this day, man, to this day, it's stuff that we
Well,
struggle
again,
with as
it's that
people.
vulnerability and that empathy, and I think that it's tough as a military spouse to have an empathy of something that you're not going to understand, getting in trouble over something like that, the consequence that it has. I mean, even just working a regular desk job, you still don't have those type of consequences.
Nope.
But it's also not something that happens daily. You know, a lot of the days in the military can be half days, and they're if you guys aren't training, then
We're
I would
gonna
say
get
that's a little
we're gonna
easier.
get to yeah, we're gonna get to that. I honestly I feel like we might have to address it now. Josie said something that's very intriguing. She said that for a lot of people, they'd rather have that, tough it through, grit my teeth than face those repercussions. And I think that also actually, before we address the awkward elephant in the room that I hate talking about, um, let's talk about that. So, Warlord, and oh my gosh, I think the military spouses probably answered this more than myself and Warlord. Warlord, how many times did you have something wrong with you, but you knew you had to tough through because if you went to medical or if you told anyone about it, they would think you're lying, they would think you're weak, they would think you're trying to skate out of work. Is that something that you had to deal with? I'll be the first one to say, no one will probably believe me, but I'll be the first one to say this warlord has always been just a machine. The dude never, there was never anything. He always persevered. Everyone else, oh, this hurts, that hurts, and that guy just nothing. But what for? In all honesty, warlord, was there times where you had to grit your teeth and tough through?
Man, I mean, honestly, I had issues. I was thinking about some things the wrong way.
Yeah, I thought she
I,
meant like, yeah.
so go ahead, go ahead.
She was talking about something else, but I think that whole concept. She was talking about going to counseling and mental health and all that. But I think this whole idea, this whole grit my teeth. I think the concept that she gave, right, the whole idea of grit your teeth. I think it's a mindset that we adopt as service members. And I guess my question is, Warlord, I'm inclined to say that you've also adopted it to a certain degree. And my question is, when you had that mindset, what were you dealing with stuff? Were you dealing with, what were some of the things that troubled you as you went through your military
I was,
career?
I was feeling good. Like I said, I was thinking about it the wrong way. I had issues, bro. It was making me feel good to keep on training in pain, stuff like that. Because I was like, you know, I'm like, the rest of y'all gonna go.
That's such a dog answer, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's such a sick, like a I don't want to cuss, but that's such like
There's something wrong with you, man.
bad
There's something
A
wrong with
answer.
you.
No, that's a cool. But seriously, like yo, I like that. I'm just saying that's a cool answer. Like that's a dang. That's I respect
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Like, I mean, honestly, the only time I actually said something, which is crazy, is like I had one. It's like I don't know. You randomly get it. So I mean, it's only happened to me as a kid and like once as an adult in Marine Corps, where it's like you get like a sharp pain in your throats where you can't swallow anything, and I'm sitting there scared, like, man, I'm not gonna be able to eat. I need to, I need to do something about this. It's really the only time I spoke up about something. They were they were acting like they didn't understand what I was talking about. I was like, y'all get what I'm talking about. You're gonna send me to medical. I need to be able to eat.
All right. I delayed it. I don't know if we can anymore. I hate talking about this one, but I think anyone who's been in the military for longer than a damn month, you've heard about this. Let's just get it over with. All right.
Cheating.
Infidelity. Here we go. So I know that the statistic in and of itself is ridiculously high in general, but I also know it is a lot higher in the military. And I guess I guess my main question, Warlord, I want to ask you first, as someone who was responsible for squads, and I think were you ever a platoon? I know you were a squad leader, and I know were you assistant platoon leader at any point, or were you just squad leader?
Squad leader is the high bill I've ever had.
All right. So I guess my question is, I'm almost guaranteeing that you have had a junior Marine come to you and talk about it. And I guess my question is, what do you do? Because in my mind, it's hard to separate the personal life from the professional life. And for me, I think the biggest issue I mean, I had countless friends. This one did that to her, or that one did this to him. Like it was always there. It was someone was always getting divorced, someone was always getting married. So I guess as a squad leader, how did you help your junior Marines who talked to you and tried to, when you found out or something?
Well, honestly, man, like if it was just them coming to me telling me, I would pretty much be like, "You're an idiot. Don't get caught. You never told this to me unless you get caught. Then I'm gonna have to come down on you hard because they're gonna come down on me hard." And then for the people that like felt like it was an issue, or the people that did get in trouble, again, like, you're an idiot. Like I know that you've heard from not only me, from tens and thousands of other Marines senior to you, everything bad, negative that can come with that. You could lose all types of stuff. And the command we were at, kind of like what Josie was saying, I think you could have lost your security clearance for that. I think. But
so
at the
I
same
guess I
time,
gotta ask.
You could have lost your clearance for being like cheating.
I believe so. I think it depends on how bad it was. But like at the same time, a whole lot of that didn't come my way to where I was one of the people that had to deal with it. Not a whole lot of that did.
All right, I gotta ask. So people got married so young, and I want to ask Warlord, do you think? And I'm gonna say it probably is. People getting married young. I think that's what attributed to the issue. And I guess hot question, hot take. I'm inclined to say that in the military there should be an age. There should be an age limit. Like you gotta be at least 21 or at least something. Like it can't keep the stereotype can't. We gotta end it. The whole joining the military, getting married early. Again, I'm a hypocrite though. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate. I married an awesome woman who turned a little young buck into, to an attorney. So I really have I'm very, very blessed. But I know she'd be the first one to admit it.
Wait, say that again, please. I need to record it real quick.
Yeah, she's gonna record it. Same words, please.
Exact same. Wait, can the ladies that have
You're in the
the
other
mods
room. Everyone hears
are
the
are the
echo.
mods able to give me a transcript of this?
No, I'm pretty sure Warlord can clip it though. Can you please go to the other
So
room? Anyways, good.
I mean, I can just mute one
What I
now.
will say, what I want to say is, I do think to a certain degree, Warlord, that there should be something. There should be some regulation in place that maybe, I mean, again, you got to take a test for a license. You got to take a test
Mhm.
to carry a firearm. Like, there's got to be something, man. What do you think? What do you think? Maybe after you have to talk to your CO, XO, someone, sergeant major.
Let's say it depends on the mentality of the two individuals getting married. There's been a lot of times where the young man, he really was ready to be married, but the young woman wasn't, and she would cheat on left and right. There'll be a lot of times where it was vice versa. He would cheat on her left and right. That's something that can't really be tested, I guess. Like if they had to put some rules on it or tests on it, I would say that they would have to do a blind questionnaire of your closest friends and you, and then of
I think,
the other
yeah.
person, because that's how you
Maybe
get the
even a
best.
required prenup.
A pre,
I think that's
I mean,
fair.
you're
I
both
think that's
broke.
I
fair.
You're
mean,
both
something
broke
kind
at
of
that point.
similar to it. No, something kind of similar. I'm not talking about like necessarily like for investments or finances. I'm talking about like what would happen with, um, say for example, like if there was, and the thing with that I struggle with in the military and how involved they are with the infidelity issue is that like you can work for any
Or
organization,
not.
any company, and they don't care. That's your personal life. Only the military cares if that happens. And I feel like it makes leadership issues worse because now you have to be involved with people's personal lives. Where in other companies and other organizations, it's kind of like, man, that sucks. I don't know how you're going to deal with that, you know? And
Wait,
um,
hot question, hot take, hot
hold
question.
on,
Are you saying
hold
that
on. I'm
infidelity
not
should be
done.
allowed?
No, I'm not saying it should be allowed. I didn't say that, Alex. I didn't say that, Andre. I'm
You're saying it
saying
adds
It's
if,
the
extra issues to the
UCMJ.
workplace.
pardon?
She's saying how crazy it is that the military will pretty much almost ruin a career for that, but in the
I'm
civilian
just
world, it's your personal
Yeah,
life.
but
it's your the
Depends on the
involvement,
command name.
the amount
Depends
of
on the command.
involvement in your personal life. And then not only that, but to talk about like what Warlord was saying earlier, as a young leader, I think that in the military so many people look up to colonels, lieutenant colonels, sergeant majors, but from what I have noticed and what I've heard, it's the junior leaders that make the biggest difference in the junior Marines or junior service members' lives. You know, corporals,
okay.
sergeants, staff sergeants, they're the ones that they can go to that are going to give them that advice, that are going to have that empathy, that are going to be there for them like a mentor. And I think that if corporal courses and sergeant courses and even staff sergeant courses focused more on that side of things, that might be a
Hmm.
really great avenue to help with the empathy, the vulnerability, and that space to kind of talk about, you know, life events that are happening that could prevent substance abuse and, you know, infidelity.
You know what? I don't think the two leadership courses I went to, they don't hit on that personal side of dealing with your junior marines. So that
Mm-hmm.
could be something to think about.
Yeah, yeah, really could.
So no, I'm not saying infidelity should be allowed. Thank you, Hempsey, for
I'm just saying.
explaining.
First of all, it's
That's
Hamilton. Second
wild.
of all, yeah, I'm just saying infidelity is unauthorized and it is punishable under the UCMJ. Is it not, Warlord?
It is.
It is. So, just saying. It sounds like that was the suggestion. I wanted to ask for clarity. That's all.
Well, and
A
that's what
little
I'm saying.
clarity.
If
But
it
you know,
is punishable by the UCMJ, then maybe there should be some type of, you know, when you're filling out your pre-marriage packet, You know how you're supposed to do
Who?
that? Not
What is
everybody does
that?
that.
No one ever does that.
What the heck? You're supposed to do a pre-marriage
I
packet.
married Syria, and
You're.
Warlord and I all met at Olive Garden.
I
That's
remember
exactly what
because
happened,
I was
actually.
there. I took
You
those
were there
pictures
too.
that are
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your
you were.
house.
First of all, we're not going to show
Yeah.
those pictures, but yeah, you're
First of
right.
all,
I forgot about that.
okay, but you're supposed to do a pre-marriage packet, so that's where your command is failing you. And again, I don't blame a sergeant major for that. Sergeant major's got so many other things on their plate. That's a corporal, that's a sergeant, that's a staff sergeant's thing to worry about. And
Slip
again,
up. Yep.
it's so personal. Nobody else cares. Nobody else cares if you're getting married or not in a company organization. Like, you don't work for Walmart and they would be like, cool, oh, you got married this weekend. But in the pre-marriage
Yeah, but
packet,
okay. I'm pushing back, Gabby.
push
All
back.
right, the
Let's
military.
go.
The military is not Walmart, Target, Home Depot, whatever. The military is so intimately connected to your lifestyle. They do need to know this information, right? I mean, if you die working for Walmart, Target, wherever, the other person you married isn't going to get 400K. Like, there are, and let's be real. Let's be even more real. You having a tough day at Walmart, Target, Home Depot, wherever, is it going to, more likely than not, it's not going to scar you to such a degree where you're going to resort to X, Y, and Z. Again,
Okay, people
general
have
assumption.
died
I'm
in
acknowledging
Walmart,
that
though.
now.
I'm just saying.
Well, okay, that's a crazy. I'm not saying people haven't died. All right, we all
Okay.
remember, the baby, but
Dang, I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that.
I'm not trying to. You know what? I want to apologize for that though. That's a bad. That's a bad. I'm really gonna. I'm sorry because I'm not making light of that situation. I'm making light of it. I apologize. I don't mean like that. But I'm just saying
Really
that
quick,
I think.
you guys made me. Oh, I'm sorry. Just let me interrupt 2
Come on,
seconds.
brother. You do
You
your
made
thing.
me remember because I forget all the time. I was married in the military, but that was like a contract marriage. Like nobody even knew about it barely. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to have that much involvement in the marriage, and if you want to promote resources and you want to do things right and you want to prevent, I mean, to the best of your ability, infidelity always comes down to who you are in your character and where your values are. You can at least try and set them up
I
on
don't.
the.
Really? Really?
Yeah, really.
I don't know,
So,
buddy. I don't know.
um, I think that
I
if
don't
people
know.
were to do their marriage packets, that would be a great way of helping, at least for them to know the resources when it comes to counseling. I know, like, we would have to do budgets for service members whose commands were involved and who they were honest to about them getting married. And we would, show them that budget. And it brought up a lot of great questions. Finances is one of the biggest things people argue about in a marriage. And
Very true.
a lot of them were kind of sitting there. And I remember the look on their faces when they're like, wait, I didn't even think about her student debt. I didn't even think to ask her about credit card. I didn't think to ask who's going to work or how we're going to handle this or how we're going to handle that. So it kind of, I think, puts not hurdles, but it's kind of like a yield sign. It's kind of pumping the brakes a little bit. Like, yes, you're excited. Yes, you want to get married. Yes, you love this person. However, there's still so many real life things that you need to consider prior to that. And a lot of civilians think military makes bank.
Well, I mean, I've always looked at
Josie
it as
put
if you
something.
What did Josie say?
benefits and things you don't have to pay for together, you make more than you realize because so many things you're
True.
not paying for, but you're not making bank. You're not making you're not even making technically you can't consider yourself making 70K to you like a E6, E5.
Right.
Josie put no one else cares. No one else cares if you're getting cheated on either. The only reason it's an issue is because service members are supposed to be of upstanding character. When you leave evidence of being otherwise, ... When you leave a
I
trail
was
of
gonna say
mess,
that. I
I
think
feel
that's
like
the main
So
reason the
true.
military comes down on you because you're supposed to be held to a higher standard, as they
Higher
say.
standard.
I don't know. I think it's just detrimental to morale, unit morale, cohesion, especially if it's you being goofy or being silly with another service member's partner. I think that's the true concern. The true issue is is if your actions could result in the ineffectivity of your team, your squad, your unit, and then ultimately compromising the effectivity of that particular area. Like that's what I think the true issue is. Um, but I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's a great
Is it
point.
true? Is the act in and of itself truly a representation of poor character, or is it just I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
think it's necessarily okay. You're talking about like the difference between maybe a one-time thing and something that continues to happen. And
But the military is not going to ask you. They're not going to say,
well, of
you
course,
know,
they're not going to ask
Mister
you about
Private
that.
Hamilton. You know, person X is accusing you of an affair. Was it a one night stand or was this a prolonged encounter? I don't know about
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think what I meant by a thing of your character is that you can receive all the training, you can receive all the Bible talks, you can have Jesus in your life, you can be doing everything right, and that can still happen. What I'm saying is that it's not really preventable. It's because it's who you are as a person. It's a choice. It's a personal
that.
choice. It's a personal
Okay.
choice.
Josie's wild. If side pieces would know their place, this wouldn't even be an issue. They always try to get upgraded to a main. Good lord.
Is she wrong though?
She's not
I
wrong.
don't.
That's math.
You guys are horrible.
That's real math right there.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say I don't necessarily think actions in and of themselves are representations of an individual's character. I will go so far as to say that individuals' actions are representation of poor judgment. It's not to a certain degree a representation of their moral. I'm going to say I want to say that. And the only reason why I want to say that is because, especially when you're at that young age where discretion is very much skewed. It's more likely than not that you were a young stupid kid than a person whose morals in and of themselves are totally drastically off true north.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I would compare that to an analogy of, you know, you got a young dumb young kid who, you know, robs a bank. And I don't want to say robs a bank. Let's just simply say
Rob the lawyer.
Well, you're
they
talking about like rehabilitation.
I'm not talking about rehabilitation. I'm talking about the individual at that moment. I mean, and
Well,
I guess
we
the
all make
issue is
dumb
that when we
choices.
say,
Absolutely. So then, if we all make dumb choices and we can have these moments, why should it be punishable in your workplace? Gosh, I really do sound like.
I guess I'm inclined to say the reason why, one, I mean, obviously the deontological argument is simply that's the rule, right? If the rule is you can't wear purple on Tuesdays, it doesn't matter that purple's your favorite color. The rule is the rule. Now,
Right.
if the rule is infidelity in and of itself is punishable by the UCMJ, then that's the rule. Now,
I
why
would
is
wear
a
white socks
great
a lot.
question that we could have that conversation about. What?
Said I would wear white socks a
Would you say,
lot.
Warlord?
That's
I would
also the
wear
thing
white
on
socks
the
a lot.
federal police side of things too. Infidelity is punishable. Um, I don't exactly know how, but I know that they can punish you on the federal police side of things as well. Because with the BI, several people have lost their job from their side pieces trying to get upgraded. I disagree with you, Andre, on the fact that it
Oh,
it shows poor judgment instead of a lack of morality. I think it depends. I think it can it can just only be poor judgment. I think it also can be a lack of morality and it can be a lack of integrity. I think it depends on how you go about it. If you're over here carrying on an entire second family, it's a lack of integrity. You have a lack of morality. There's an issue with that, right? That is not just
oh,
poor. If you're
this
over
is
here in
good.
the club one night and you're completely toasted and you get, things done by somebody and stuff happens, whatever. Okay, poor judgment can come into play depending on how you handle that situation. If you decide to just keep it to yourself and never mention it and pretend it didn't happen, that is also a lack of morality and a lack of integrity.
All right, I will say your argument is consistent. Now, I guess my response is this. a lack of integrity or a lack of morality. So the act of cheating in and of itself is wrong. Always, yes or no?
Yes.
It is wrong always. I would then say you do have a potential contradiction in your argument because the act of cheating, whether it is due to you being at the club and having a few
Okay.
too many Incredible Hulks, or you having an affair with someone who you become enamored with over a long period of time, the act in and of
Who's Hulk?
itself are morally equivalent, right? They
I
resulted in you having
okay.
a
Poor
extramarital
judgment.
affair with someone who's not your partner. So I would say you have to be an absolutist. If it's
You don't
wrong,
have
it's wrong, period.
you do not absolutely have to be an absolutist. Is it wrong to cheat? Yes, it's wrong to cheat. That's where poor judgment comes into place. Do people cheat all of the time? Yes, people cheat all of the time. Do people intentionally want to hurt the person they're with and want to carry on this cheating for lengths of time? No, they don't all want to carry this on for lengths of time, right? Do they all want to keep it to themselves? No. Some people cheat and then they say, hey, spouse, partner, person, I have to come clean because this is eating me alive. That shows, one, there's remorse there, right? You had poor judgment. Does it show lack of morality? No, I don't think so, because you're being of your moral character and saying, hey, I'm remorseful of this. I'm apologetic. I'm honest about it. I'm taking accountability for my actions. And I understand the consequences that are associated with those actions could mean I lose you, right? But I have to be honest about what happened. That shows your integrity. I
It
don't think
shows that
that's
they're
a lack of integrity by poor judgment.
it shows that they're honest and they're willing to give that person to make that choice whether they're going to stay or leave.
Right.
Okay, so I need general principles, right? I need principles in order to truly understand this argument. You must always tell the truth, right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
Okay.
fair.
You must always tell the truth. If you make a promise, you have to keep that promise.
I think you have to try your damnedest to keep that promise. I don't think it's fair to
I don't
say you
like that.
have to keep it. I don't think that's fair because certain situations and circumstances arise where you're not always going to be able to keep those promises.
I don't know
And what
though.
if the promise is
I don't
used against
know.
you as a weapon,
But
a
then
mental
shouldn't
weapon?
that mean you should have been a little more careful of who you made a promise to?
Some people are slick. Some people knew we might end up in this situation or that situation. Like,
Look,
you
all
know,
I know
being
is the spouse is the one that made the promise. The side piece didn't.
Correct. The side piece is beholden to nobody.
the side piece got to play the
Oh
role.
no 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 no.
This is an
Yeah, no no
unspoken
no no no.
promise.
Actually, I'm gonna push back on this
Play your
too.
role.
I
I mean, okay, the side piece is not beholden to the spouse partner that's being cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say
but
that.
integrity, right? Integrity.
No, no,
Do
no, no,
you
How can a
have
person of
no,
integrity being the
no.
side
The
hold
side
up,
piece?
piece
hold up,
doesn't
no
have
no
to
no
be
Like
no
given
no
knowing
of it.
that you're the side piece, do you have integrity?
The
no. A
if a person
virtuous person, a person of
and that person is dealing with somebody who is and they're in that, like, hey, I'm married, I have this going on, and the side piece is like, okay, cool, sounds good, I'm still here, I'm still with it, I'm still for it, and all that stuff. Like, that's between the guy and the side piece, what the side piece wants to do with the guy. But my thing is, side pieces back in the day used to stay silent, low key with that shit. Now they're all messy and they want to be the stepmom to his kids when his wife's still living at home. It's fucking crazy. But the dude is the one who made the promise to the wife. The side piece has
no.
zero
Exactly.
obligation to the wife.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
the side piece's actions are contributing, right, to what? The destruction of a family unit.
Right,
How
but he's the
a
one
No,
that
no,
made
moral
no.
the
and virtuous
promise.
person
He's
The
the
wouldn't
one.
do
spouse
Nobody's
that.
saying anything good
the side
about
piece.
him. We were
The
just saying
spouse
he's
who's
the one that made the
entertaining the side
promise.
his actions are contributing to the dissolution of his family. Like the spouse who's entertaining the side piece has no obligation to the wife. The man, he's the one who's obligated to the wife. He's the one who's breaking up that home and that marriage.
Ah,
Actually, yes, the side piece participating, but she's not beholden to anybody. She's a plaything, and she knows she is. He's the one who's stepping out.
Okay,
But then when
Andre,
they
what
realize
are
they're
you
just the
wanting besides just
plaything,
take
that's when they get
accountability?
upset and things get messy.
No, I guess Mimi also. If you know anyone suffering from
Anyone
mental
suffering
health,
mental health. We're all suffering with mental health.
MC, can you
All
mute
of
it,
us.
please? I guess the can you mute it, please? My point, and I guess I should
Don't
be.
talk
I
to
mean,
my sister like that.
Hemsi's
Yeah, I didn't like how you said please like that. Can you please
Right?
fix that?
Don't talk to
Yeah.
my sister like that, bro.
Yeah, we just
I was
watched you,
gonna
so
say
please fix it.
Hemsi's abrupt, interruption. I think it does warrant me to be a little more precise. I guess my argument, in and of itself, is this: moral and virtuous people must act morally and virtuously in all situations. And I think simply because you yourself are not a part of a union doesn't negate that your actions contributed to the dissolution of that union. If I am aware, right, if I am aware that theft is wrong, I am not absolved from the guilt because I didn't help Warlord steal from 7-Eleven when I gave him the tools to do it. And I guess that's my point, MC. My point is both individuals
Okay, so I have a
both
question
individuals
in that
are
aspect.
lacking character, I guess.
With
I'm
that
above
would be the
stealing from
argument.
7-Eleven.
With
I
that
was still from
example,
Target.
you're saying a moral, virtuous person should act with morality,
Always.
virtue, always. But if somebody is choosing to be a side piece, they're not a moral, virtuous person. They're already
Nope.
not acting that way, so they're not going
Nope.
to be held to that standard.
No, they're not. I didn't say that at all. What I did say was
You started
moral and virtuous people.
that if a moral, virtuous person is always held to a morality, is always held
No,
to virtue, then they're over here, being a side piece. They're contributing to the dissolution of the marriage, and they are not absolved of guilt. But a moral, virtuous person wouldn't be doing that.
wouldn't do that.
Correct.
True. But I guess the big point that needs to be emphasized is if you are a moral and virtuous person, you should always act morally and virtuously. And when you don't, you should still continue to strive, right? If today, because I interrupted Hempsey and she said, you know what there, Andre, you're banished to the couch. If I get into an argument with her right after saying why I should be banished to the couch, I don't think that that's moral and virtuous. What I did was wrong. I interrupted. I was being a little passive aggressive and snotty because she interrupted me. But I should acknowledge, hey, you know what? I was wrong for being snotty and passive aggressive. I should take this couch sleeping on the chin. I should own it and hope that tomorrow's a better day. And I know that analogy is obviously lighthearted, but I think the same mindset applies. If I am a person who is moral and virtuous, my actions should always demonstrate those qualities. Now, if I don't act in a particular way that displays my virtues, then I should acknowledge my wrongdoing and then try to correct myself.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily think that participation in a union or the non-participation in a union minimizes the fact that if you're contributing to the wrongdoing itself, that is lacking morals or virtue. Mimi says, "This is your fault, Warlord." It is your fault, Warlord. You kicked this. You kicked this hornet.
You got to segue in a little bit, just so
That
y'all
last
know.
sentence said, because what I understood you to say was that if you're participating, that doesn't mean that you lack morality and virtue. So can you?
I guess. Yeah, I guess this is where I think this is where we're parting ways. Just because individuals should always strive to be morally upstanding and virtuous people doesn't negate the possibility that we could stray off that path.
Yes,
what I am saying is that no matter how much we stray, we should always be striving to get back on that path. And I think that's the part that I'm saying.
If those are the values that you hold, but not everybody holds those values.
I think those are generally accepted principles and maxims. You shouldn't lie. I don't think you should cheat. I don't think you should steal, and hurting
I
someone
I think
without
the
the
world that we're
justification
in
of self
now,
defense are
those are
four
not common
pretty
principles
reasonable.
to live by anymore.
Well, then I think and I think Mimi's right. We've strayed off, but I think then that's where our true dispute is. If I say, yeah, we don't have a general consensus on moral principles, then right, and I think that's fair. Then that's an agree to disagree, and I totally acknowledge that. But I think that's where we're realizing the issue is. If there is a general consensus on what is morally right and wrong, then what is virtue? What is morally abstaining? What is righteous? I think that is the question, Josie. I think the question is this: if we can't agree,
Like I said,
what is right and wrong, then moral relativism is kind of what we are reduced to—a
there,
society where my
there
right and wrong is different from warlords.
there's a bunch of communities out there that don't believe cheating is morally wrong. There's a ton of communities out
Yeah,
there that
I mean, even within the military, there's the ENM and the polyamorous communities.
Mhm.
How is that
red
handled when it comes
bulbs,
to
the
these?
green light
Oh
bulbs,
yeah, oh
box,
yeah.
the
What
boobs
is
out.
ENM? I don't know what that is.
Ethical non-monogamy. Gosh, get a dictionary.
Dang.
I'm sorry. I wrote that
So
down.
Real quick,
I wrote
guys.
that down.
It gives you live in a Christian community.
I gotta ask y'all
Don't divulge my ops.
throwing y'all's closing remarks to this debate so I can get some of the parents in here.
I just
What's the next subject?
that's where I think that we differ, is because I don't believe the side piece. Knowing that she's a side piece, knowing that the dude's married, I don't think she cares about morality and virtue. I don't think that's it's a lack of judgment on her part. I think she's intentionally there, and she really doesn't care about getting back on the path of morality and virtue, because there is an entire community of side chicks out there, side dudes out there, who gloat and boast about their position. It's kind of disgusting.
Absolutely, they do.
I'm going to respond briefly, and then we can let the parents come in and talk about military and their experiences. I'm going to start by this. I'm going to say I do believe that there are objective and universal truths. I believe that there are certain actions that are always wrong. Now, that sets me up for a lot. I acknowledge that. I acknowledge it to a certain degree that I'm kind of handicapping myself. I'm kind of minimizing or limiting, at least a certain degree, my argument. But I think, objectively speaking, there are certain things that are true and are always true. You should not lie. I think that's true. I think that no matter what society you're in, lying is detrimental to society. I also think you should not steal. You should not take what is not yours. You should only claim ownership of something that's actually yours. I think that's another thing that could also universally be accepted as true. I think you should only harm others in self-defense. I think that is something also that is true universally.
Or if they cut you off in traffic.
Listen, there's a whole
But
community
lastly,
with harming people just for the pleasure of harming people. Like, I don't think that's a universal truth. I don't. I think there are, yes, some universal truths, like not hurting children. I think that's a universal truth that nearly everyone's on board with. And if you do, you're a monster. If you like to just hurt other adults and you're an adult and it's a thing, fine, go hurt each other. Because there's a whole community out there hurting each other in the bedroom too. Like, listen, there is a whole I disagree. I don't think that's a universal truth. I think murder is probably a universal truth. Okay. Universally, people well, I think that's changing. I think it used to be. I think it's changing. I think people are okay with murder now. Now we want to kill it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say even
Huh?
murder is taking on a different definition.
Yeah.
1 second. I'm hearing a knock. 1 second. 1 second.
I mean, you were good unless you were speaking directly to him.
I don't have anything else to say. I think I think I've said everything I had to say.
Okay. You got anything to add to it, Miss Gabby?
I don't know. Just say hi to grandpa's for me, please.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Warlord. This was fun.
Definitely. Anytime you want to jump in whatever conversation we're having, you're welcome.
Yeah. Text me. Let me know.
Can do.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Are we closing up shop now?
No, I was gonna call my parents and see if he was gonna call his parents, and maybe we might get Miss Mimi's father in here as well.
I don't know how to call people, Warlord. Also, it's been 2 hours, buddy. This is wild.
With your phone, these things.
All right, so I literally just call while I'm talking to you.
Okay.
No, but is that how that works? You just call while I'm talking to you, and you guys can hear them, and I'm gonna hear them. Like, is that?
Oh, so no, bro. So you might not have it in your phone. It's a feature called Speaker.
Okay? That's how we're doing this. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, will I still be hearing you guys through my headphones if it's on speaker?
Hello?
You hear that,
What?
Mom? Can y'all hear her?
Yeah.
You who?
You, Mom?
No, I can't hear anybody.
No, not them hear you. Can they hear you? Never. Basically, like we're kind of just jump into it instead of slowly segueing over into it. I wanted to ask you and Dad, since both of y'all was in the military, both of y'all was in the Navy. What impact do y'all feel like that the military had on civilians? And if you have any insight on it, or if you have an opinion on it, how do you feel that civilians view the military?
Well, back to my time, I think civilians, they supported the military.
Mhm.
That there was no question about it. They, especially, that we were around, a lot of them was military towns. And the civilians in that area, they were happy because it gave them their livelihood to have a military there, because they would come and do shopping and different things like that, housing. So it was a good thing. So vice versa. So in the military, we supported the civilians.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. What about Dad?
You have anything to say, Dad? Or is
How do you feel like the civilians view the military, and you as a service member, what impact did you feel like that you had on civilians in America?
what impact they had on you with the military? Well, not today, or not
That's
today,
not
but
exactly what I
military.
said, but
Today,
that works.
as far as my perspective, the civilians
Can y'all hear him?
respected the military and thought we were necessary for the safety of America.
Mommy, I might have to bring the phone closer to Dad. Hello?
The civilians that I dealt with and worked with, they respected the military. They thought the military was vital to the safety of the United States, and they
thought that all us young men and women that were in the military were doing a good job.
Okay.
Mr. Bailey, how are you, sir?
Whoa.
I'm well.
That's
Glad to hear.
it's Alex.
Oh, okay. Nice
Andre,
hearing
but
from
okay.
you, Alex.
You don't know who that is.
Good to hear from you, sir. My question is, as times have changed, do you think that also the perspective of the military has changed in the eyes of the average civilian?
Yeah, I think it's been a little bit of give and take on both parts.
Okay. How so?
With the military, some militaries these days, the military is, in some civilian terms, they're not looked upon as a major source of employment or a righteous job to have, where they feel that individuals can do other things besides go into the military, and that they a lot of civilians are disagree with the military footprint, the things that we do, and the things that we have to do.
How do we change that, Mr. Bailey?
I keep doing our job and just I keep doing what we're supposed to do. As far as military, you keep doing what you're supposed to do, and civilians that are in the know, they'll come along also. I think the media does a lot to bring down the image and the philosophy of the military, and a lot of times that the news becomes our worst enemy because sometimes they put too much information out from our perspective.
I agree.
About issues going on, about different things that are going on. Everybody wants to get the big scoop, but sometimes the big scoop can be detrimental to the mission that we have at hand.
How do we make the profession of soldier more desirable for the younger generations of Americans?
True.
I think communication, show them what the military is capable of and what the military can provide in relationship to civilian opportunities.
Okay. There was a question that was asked earlier. Yes, Mr. Bailey.
What were we saying there?
Individuals getting out to service, for whatever reason, that don't burn their bridges. Because sometimes you get out there in the civilian community and things are not so good. The grass is green, but sometimes it's not greener. And you can come back in as a reserve, or else you can come back in active duty again. I said, but don't burn your bridges. And that the military is going to be here.
All right, what were you about to say, Andre? Oh, you blinked out for a second.
Sorry, can you hear me, Warlord?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. No, I agree with you, Mr. Bailey. I know there are sometimes where I'm over here and I think to myself, man, I do kind of miss the uniform. And I guess there were certain topics that were brought up earlier in this panel as it pertains to veterans and their struggles, some of the struggles that comes with the demand of the job. And I guess what are, from what you've seen or what you experienced, what are some things that could be done in order to remedy or alleviate service members of some of those burdens?
Oh, so when they get out or on active duty?
When they get out.
Ideally, yeah.
Oh, yeah, ideally, I think that they need to be aware of whatever programs are out there for them, and if they find themselves in certain situations, that know that they can always look to to the military or military counselors for advice. I mean, even though they're civilians, they could go to a recruiter's office and ask some questions, and tell them, hey, I'm a vet. Or else they can go to their VAs. A lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth about the VAs. But, push comes to shove, they overcome that because the need is too great. But I think just communicating and the resources, knowing that being informed that there are resources out there and that you can get these resources.
Mr. Bailey, I appreciate your time. Thank you. I don't have any more questions. What about you, Warlord? What do you got for him?
Nah, man, you actually had a better list than I even thought of. You're good.
Okay. Well, I think, Mr. Bailey, I do have one more. I'm also the son of a service member, and I guess my question is: a lot of people talk on here about, kind of also, some of the stuff that military children, military brats have to go through. And I guess my question for you is, when you came home, from I don't know if you've been deployed, but from your time, serving, how did you come back and try to utilize the time as much as you had with Warlord and his siblings and your wife? What did you do in order to make the most of
Warlord is
your
me,
time
Dad.
home?
Well, I came back home and gradually got back into the routine of things. Started doing things the way that we always did. Going on outings, spending some time with Mom and Larry and our other daughters. That's what I did. That was always my approach. And they pretty much we had a system down pat. So it didn't take us long to get back into the routine of things. And there was not a lot of bickering back and forth between Mom and Dad.
Excuse me, real quick, Dad. Also something I didn't think about earlier. Mainly through middle school, my dad was always, the coach or the assistant coach, and I think that was a part of that too. For most of the sports I played, I think everything except for seventh grade football, and then of course high school they have their own coaches, but like through middle school, well, no, even some elementary, even in Puerto Rico, my dad was the assistant coach or a coach. Oh, he blanked out for a second. 1 second there.
Okay.
Sorry about
Okay, you
that.
back? No, you're
Yes,
good.
sir.
Yeah, I'm here. So it wasn't. When you come back after deployment and everything else, it takes a while for everybody to get used to Dad being back in the house, but that doesn't take long, and to get back in the routine of things, because we, as a military family, we knew how things worked. And everybody was glad to have Dad back home, and Dad was back to routine.
Well, Mr. Bailey, I do want to say thank you. I know that this, you're taking the time to do this for Warlord. I think it's awesome. I appreciate it, and also I appreciate your service. I know Warlord hates it when people say that, but I think it's something that needs to be acknowledged more. People, who give up their time away from their family, their time that they could be spending investing on their future, and they serve their country. They serve something greater than themselves. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it is something that needs to be acknowledged more. So, Mr. Bailey, thank you, and I look forward to more conversations with you, sir.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, take care.
You too.
Appreciate it, Mom, Dad.
All right.
Alrighty, I'll talk to y'all later.
Okay.
You gonna say you love them? You gonna say? Oh, you're not gonna say that. Okay. Okay.
I always love my parents.
You were gonna say it though. I didn't hear you say that. See.
I generally don't say every time I get off the phone.
I mean, I love my parents. So.
I love my parents too.
I would say it. So
And they their favorite son, which is the
I'm
only
my
son.
parents' favorite son. Easy. I beat out
You're not
the other
you're not the
one.
only son. They have another to choose from.
It's not a choice. All right, it's not a choice. I was gonna say a
Yeah,
joke, but I'm
brother.
not gonna say that. This is being recorded. All right, man. Well, look, I appreciate you, brother. I do.
You ready?
Say again.
D Hill, Mimi. If your dad's ready, Mimi, no pressure on him. And or D Hill, you know if your boy's gonna come up. 'Cause I think Mr. Andre's trying to deuce out.
Yeah, I got to spend some time with the missus. Got to watch our weekly show.
He's
We're not
about to
getting
get beat
sponsored
up.
by this show, so I'm not going to say the show's name. So they ain't cutting a check to you yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant this. So I was about to say, what you mean you're getting sponsored? Like, did you not send me a whole demand list earlier today?
That's not true. That's crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's not true. I didn't send a whole demand list.
No, it was a whole demand list.
This guy. Hey, what do we got planned for this week? Anything coming up this week? We're going to do another, ask and answer, or no?
I mean, if a bunch of stuff comes up, and if it looks like some of the other people aren't going any of these nights, I can last minute let you know as long as it's early enough in the evening, because I know you go to bed early because you're a baby.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I might do my first survival video. Yeah, I might do my first survival video sometime this week. It's gonna be a long video.
That'd be sick, though. That'd be a good one. How to start a fire?
It's just gonna be a small. Well, not how to start a fire. No, how to make it will. Take it back, caveman. No. The first one will be how to make a smoker in the wilderness, because to me that's one of the biggest ones to preserve meat if you're ever stuck out there for whatever reason.
How to skin game. I always wanted to do that. I don't know how to do that.
Bro, I don't like hunting animals on my property, but if I have to, I'll think about it.
I got you. And then what else should we do? We should do a shooting competition.
How to hunt a human. You should put face paints on.
We're being recorded, Warlord. You cannot say stuff like that. What? How to hunt a human?
I would use a paintball gun.
A paintball gun?
A paintball gun.
A deal with you. Hey, you want to do a
competition? If you can survive for a day, if you can live for a day, I'll buy you one thing you ask for a year straight, and vice versa.
Bro, you realize if this is the competition, you're never gonna catch me. You're never gonna. I'll survive for 24 hours on Warlord property. Easy.
I was about to say you can't leave my property boundaries.
Yeah, that's fine, bro. Honestly, if you want to do this, Warlord, you just say the word. Because I'm telling you, give me prep time. It's over. It's over.
We'll think about
okay. I'm serious. I'm not joking. I could do 24 hours. What are you? The new Mister? I'm fine with it, buddy. You give me 24 hours. That's nothing.
During winter time.
That's jacked up, though. You're changing it now.
I'm just playing. I'm playing.
Winter time, you get a hoodie, sweats, and tips. That's it. That's crazy. I was gonna say let's do a shooting competition, man.
We can do that.
That'd be fun.
We have to get some more people on here.
Oh, you already know you already know old man. Papa Hemp will do it. He's a terrible shot, though. I know I can beat him, so that we shouldn't invite him.
This man.
I'm gonna let my dad. I'll be a better shot off the rip. I played so many arcade games. It's nothing. All right. I'm telling you, I'm aimed in. What's that?
No,
what's that old school Nintendo game?
On those arcade games, it shoots out a faint laser in a cone shape that narrows in, so they're not really as accurate.
Wow, I didn't know that. Are you serious? Yeah, so it's a smaller. That's crazy. They're haters. I'll still peppering up those dinosaurs at Jurassic Park shooting game. I want to buy one. Ooh, for the house, bro. That'd be wild. That'd be sick.
Oh, you and I was there. I was looking at the Terminator one. I was like, you know what? I used to love that game.
Bro, I like that one too, though. I'm not gonna lie. That one is pretty cool. The sit-in one, right? The sit-in with the little. Yeah, those are cool.
Well, I mean, I think that Dave and Buster's is to sit in, but it's the same thing as the old one where you stand up and the gun was connected to it. But
Yeah,
then they
yeah,
got
sure,
the
you're
ones
right.
with the guns not connected to it too.
So you're right. You're right. I'm not gonna lie, that would be fun. But nah, man, let me know. We should do that. I know hemp seed. I don't think we're gonna be going to North Carolina, man. So if you want to come down, or we can come up, we could do a little. We could do a little comp. Little
If you're
shooting
not going to
comp.
North Carolina, you should help me shoot this extreme because what's going to be long about is not the video, is the prep for it,
Editing.
and I will be sure people know. No, the stuff we have to get to, the stuff we have to get from the woods. We don't have to go buy nothing to make a smoker in the wilderness. You can help me with that. It'll go a lot faster. It really will.
So what? Come up like Friday. Do it all on Saturday.
Or the same day.
Okay. Well, then it depends on if
Oh,
I'm
because
coming.
you
If
don't
I'm
get off
coming, you know
till
what I mean. I don't get off till 5. The law office
yeah.
doesn't close till 5. So,
We
are
can
you
do that.
streaming on Friday?
I wasn't gonna stream it because we're gonna have to actually look for the stuff. I mean, I can pre-look for it and stack it up.
No, I meant, are you just gonna stream? We could stream like Helldivers or something on Friday.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how come it doesn't like
How
to
to fix it? Yeah.
be nice, especially with the PlayStation. It just really doesn't like PlayStation. I just think T-Mobile, their home internet, like they start out real good and then they suck out here where I'm at. I'm gonna have to
No, I
call
hear
and
you.
fuss at them again.
Bro, I'm still
And
struggling with Twitch. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still struggling with Twitch. I'm telling you, Mama Hemp is being a pain. Man, I can't figure out how to use my dang PS5. But then anytime I go down there, she's watching all these little celebrity, little reality TV shows, and I
on the
want to watch
PS5.
them. Not on the PS5. I don't think she figured out how to work
Mm,
the PS5 yet, thankfully.
mm.
But nah, I already. She said she was cool with me playing on my. You know, my game's coming. Oh, Warlord! Before I forget, hey, Marvel Rivals comes out December 9th. Boy, I'm hyped.
I already told you
And
I
you're
was
gonna play
playing.
that with me. You're gonna play it. Why would you not play it? It's gonna be a great game. Overwatch 2
What?
meets Marvel. Bro, they could have my money. Like, we get to play as superhero characters and super villains and get to beat each other up. That's awesome. How you not want to play that?
Andre, you're the superhero I like to be.
I like to be or like to beat up.
B. Isn't that touching?
Okay.
I just said something
That's super
nice to
touchy,
you.
buddy. That doesn't
Yeah,
happen. We're gonna clip that. Clip that. Clip that.
I was lying, but
I knew you weren't gonna clip it. You're just mean. That's what you are. Sheesh. But no. All right. Well then, yeah. If Hemp C's cool with it, then I could probably come up on Saturday. We'll make a day of it. We'll do all the prep for it, and then I'll head back down
yeah.
Saturday night. You're still intimidated to
All
go.
right.
Oh, what? Mimi's close by?
Well, she was supposed to, or she was trying to get her dad to hop up here.
Oh, dope.
It's it's up to her and him.
I got you.
If he
All
is
right,
going to
Brody.
come up, if Andre has to go.
Yeah.
Ross, if you're still in here, I know you asked me about my story. I can share my story if Mimi's dad's going to come up just to waste some time. If not, I will hop off as well.
All
Unless
right,
D
brother. Well,
Hill
hey,
needs me to stay up and sing.
I'm gonna
All
say
right,
it always. I
all
say it
right.
again, man. Warlord, I do appreciate it, bro. This is always awesome. This is fun. Chopping it up with an awesome friend, family, and I do appreciate it, man. In the
You know,
meantime, I appreciate it, brother.
also,
Seriously. Not for sure. I got you. All right, but yeah, let me know if you got any. Let me know what you plan on doing on Friday or Saturday. If you want to stream, let me know. If not, yeah, if Hempsy's cool with it, I'll probably head up on Saturday.
sounds good, Brody.
All right, later, big bro. Take care.
Yep. Peace out, man.
Peace.
D Hill, you need me to stay up here for a minute and just randomly run my mouth? Okay, you good? All right, then, people. I appreciate everybody. Man, I think it's just the heat in my office, man. My hair just, man. Anyways, I appreciate it, y'all. Appreciate y'all coming in, kicking it with us, listening. I think all the ladies left already, but thanks to the two extra guests we had today. And Josie, aka JP, thank you. Mimi, D Hill, Gloss, Patricia, Char, everyone else that popped in. I promise you, I got you next time, Gloss. I'll share my story while I'm waiting for Andre to come in. Excuse me. Matter of fact, I'm gonna write that down on my phone because that's what I should have started with. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good evening. Oh, you guys, I'm trying to get him next time. All right. Appreciate that, D Hill.